let me know when. Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Let's do it. Can I treat your dog?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah. Ready? All right, welcome. So we're gonna talk about a tool I built to look at Chrome extensions. But first, I want to give you some context around why I got interested in Chrome extensions for security. And then I'll show you the tool. And then finally, I will talk a little bit about the challenges of building a security tool. So the tool is up. You can actually use it. It's a web app. It's a Rails app. It's published on CRXaminer.tech. Like this, basically this name, .tech, T-E-C-H. And I'll demo the app in a little bit. But first, I want to give you some context on how I got interested in Chrome extensions. So initially, I started my career as a penetration tester. And so we had to find bugs. And one of the common bugs that we usually ranked high severity was cross-site scripting, right? Like you can run JavaScript within the context of a browser. And that's powerful. If you can run JavaScript in someone's browser, then you can take actions like redirect them to a phishing page or like steal cookies in some cases or load change the content. So we like to have the ability to run JavaScript in someone's browser. Now fast forward a few years, I changed from being a pen tester to being a security engineer on the blue team. And that was almost 10 years ago. I saw someone had GitHub in dark mode, but back then there was no dark mode for GitHub. And I remember asking him, like, how do you have dark mode for GitHub? Like, and he's like, Chrome extension. And I think initially I thought like, okay, cool. Then I realized like, wait, that means that there's a Chrome extension out there that has access to your everything that's loaded in your web browser, so your source code. So I thought, that's like an interesting attack vector. And it actually still exists, even though we have dark mode in GitHub. There's still a Chrome extension out there that has like 20,000 users, so that's kind of sketchy. Now, more recently, I think at the end of last year, there was this high-profile case of the Chrome extension Honey, if you've heard of it. So basically, essentially, you can get coupons from them, but if you do use their Chrome extension to find a coupon, then they basically, without you knowing, they replace the affiliate code with their own, so they get a commission. And people like were surprised, like, hey, you can just do that. You can, like, a Chrome extension can just like modify things without me knowing. And so, more recently, this was part of like people getting more interested in Chrome extensions. But more interesting, there was this DLP tool called CyberHaven. DLP is data loss prevention. And so, I mean, essentially it's like corporate spyware, but it's basically a tool that monitors what your employees do so that you have logs. And so this one, they have a Chrome extension to monitor what you're using. So naturally, if they want to monitor your employees, that Chrome extension needs permission to access everything you're doing on the browser. So they had a security incident. And they published, this is a really nice write-up that they published on what happened exactly. But what happened was on Christmas Day, on the 25th of December, one of their employees got an email saying like, saying like, oh, we're about to take down your Chrome extension. And that's like part of their business model. It's important to them. So they panicked. They're like, oh, like I need to like fix this. And when you're trying to tell if something's a phishing email, you look at the URL, and here, this actually links to a Google page. So it's not evident that it's actually phishing. And so they clicked on it, and it took them to this, hosted on google.com. Okay, and so here, it was basically the attackers set up a malicious app called Privacy Policy Extension. And they hosted it on Google. And basically here, you're not really phishing someone's creds. Instead, you're approving access to a third party to access your Chrome extension and manage it. And that's how they got access to CyberHaven's Chrome extension. And generally, like if you have access to a Chrome extension that has the permission to do anything, what would you decide to do? This particular malicious actor, they decided to steal Facebook business accounts, which I think like usually people run like fraud rings for ad fraud. But it could have been worse. Like I feel like they could have been done so much worse than just like doing ad fraud. The spiciest example I found was a info stealer called Rylide. And so this is malware, right? Malware, you're running it on your machine. Like you basically get phished, you download the executable, you run it. So there's, imagine you're a malware author and someone runs your executable. So you have the ability to do whatever you want on their system. And what they decided to do was sideload a Chrome extension onto the browser, right? And so they basically, that malware found more value in running a malicious Chrome extension on their victim's machine than just having straight up an executable. And that Chrome extension had all of these permissions, which brings us to the point of Chrome extensions have permissions. So when you install a Chrome extension, at the time of install, you're basically authorizing different permissions. And from the name, you can kind of deduce what they do. Like they have the ability to monitor your system usage, look at your cookies, and here things like the HTTP only and a flag doesn't even matter because the Chrome extension's permissions override that. So they can access all cookies on all websites. Your history, your tabs, taking screenshots, your clipboard. So there's a lot of different Chrome extensions out there. Some of them make sense. Some of them are just weird. And I think like, why would anyone install it? There's a Chrome extension that replaces the word systemd with buts. And now in this particular example, this was made by Jesse Frizzell, which is a famous person, I guess. I've been following her on Twitter for a long time. But this is an example of a Chrome extension that was last updated 10 years ago, and it's still, again, you can still install it. So some of them are out of date. Now diving a bit deeper in what exactly are Chrome extensions. So what happens when, so the way you install a Chrome extension is you go to the Chrome Web Store and it lists, you can search for extensions there, you click download and it installs it. But what happens really in the background? So a Chrome extension is really a CRX3 file. And a CRX3 file is essentially a zip archive. It's basically a zip file. So it has a binary format where like it starts with the magic header like CR24. Then there's like a version for CRX files. We're currently on 3. And then there's like some metadata and then a zip archive that basically you unzip it. And there's the Chrome extension data inside. And so this is like, if this is the header, like some of the details of the file format. And then, I mean, for example, in Chromium is an open source browser, so you can see some of the details of how CRX is implemented. Like it's signed basically. But essentially, when you're downloading a Chrome extension, this is the URL to download it. When you click install, it's basically you're on the Chrome Web Store that's hosted by Google. Then there's a URL with the extension name. But this is what we care about for now. It's the Chrome extension ID. So every Chrome extension has a unique identifier. This is the Chrome extension ID. So that's a good start. I mean, basically in my head, I was like, okay, I want to start investigating those Chrome extensions. How do I do that? I'm going to have to download them, the ones I'm interested in. So to download it, you basically can fetch it from this URL. You basically download it from Google. You give it the extension ID. One interesting thing is you have to specify a relatively recent version of Chrome. If you give it a very old number, it just stops working. So I said it's a zip file, right? You download the Chrome extension, you unzip it, and these are the contents. Almost always, it's the same stuff. You have some locales for like different translations, different languages, some metadata, icons, some JavaScript, a license, and a manifest.json. Now the manifest.json is probably the most interesting part of a Chrome extension. So let's see what's in it. So here's an example of a simple one. So this was a manifest version 2. Right now we're on version 3. They've basically deprecated version 2. And what it does is it basically gives you a description of the Chrome extension and it tells you what it runs. This one runs JavaScript from contentscript.js, which would be in that zip archive. And it says that, here's the interesting part. It says it runs at document end, so when the document finishes loading, it runs that JavaScript. And where does it run it? On what resources? And here it says matches star slash star slash star. So the protocol is star, the URL, the domain is star, the path is star, which means this runs it on all domains, all like any web page, anything you load in your browser. At the end, it will run this JavaScript on it. So in some cases, you can specify permission. So as we saw before, there's like a long list of permissions you can specify. Generally, you just click on install Chrome extension. You don't really think about the permissions that it's asking for. It's kind of like Android apps or phone apps. Like they can also ask for permission. But yeah, we're not really in the habit. Like if I'm for like corporate security, like my users use Chrome extensions, I don't really have a good way of making sure people are going to be reasonable around picking extensions with reasonable permissions and avoiding extensions with excessive permissions. And here's just a more elaborate example zoomed in of like when it decides what it runs in terms of JavaScript. It can run CSS as well. And then where it runs it here is an example of it runs it on everything. So fast forward, I'll show the tool in a second, but there's an interesting story where when I built this tool, I ended up, by just talking about Chrome extensions, you end up meeting John Tuckner, who's an awesome person, and I've never met anyone as obsessed about Chrome extensions as him. And so he also published a tool that does Chrome extension scanning, but it's a bit more enterprisey. It's not like open source. But what's very interesting is we were talking, and he ended up publishing this blog post that I'm going to cover the content. So we were talking about Chrome extensions, and he told me, like, oh, there's this marketplace where it's like a sketchy black market for Chrome extensions. And the idea is, like, let's say you're a 16-year-old, you make like a meme Chrome extension just for fun, and suddenly you have like a bunch of users, but like you don't really care about it, right? Like you just want to get rid of it. And someone's like, hey, I will pay you money if you just give me access to Chrome extensions, like sell it to me, give me ownership. Seems lucrative for like, especially for like a younger person, right? And so someone made like a marketplace to sell Chrome extensions. And he told me about this, and I told him like, okay, but like let's try it. Like I don't like it's easy to say like, oh, you can sell, but like does it actually work? Can you actually buy a Chrome extension off of this marketplace? So he tried it. He saw this Chrome extension called Website Blocker, which had ability to run JavaScript on everything you load in your browser. And so he contacted the owner. He's like, hey, I'm interested in buying this. You know, it would give me a head start if I bought this. How can we make it work? And the person was like, yeah, let me know your budget. And they tried. Initially, the guy was like, oh, give me $50. And then they tried, and the payment was rejected. And the guy was like, fine, just have the Chrome extension. It didn't have that many users, but the idea is like he basically just took over ownership of an existing Chrome extension with a user base. Like people had this installed on their browsers. Now, before he did it, I actually installed the Chrome extension on my browser as well, just to see if I would notice anything. So essentially, a Chrome extension installed on my browser has access to all data on all websites, just changed ownership. I still had no idea. Nothing on my end indicated that, right? And at some point, he pushed this change. He pushed a code change to this Chrome extension. Once again, installed on my browser, auto updates, and he made it, whenever I visit his website, it made it redirect to this YouTube video. Does anyone know what this is? Of course, yeah. Many people have memorized the YouTube ID. It's a good survival skill to just memorize and it worked. So like whenever I visit his website now, it just took me to, this is an innocent POC, but it could have been worse. Like he could have done anything he wanted through JavaScript. And this is just on his end when it showed him that like, okay, like there was like a small review, but like nothing happened and his change went through. On my end, it auto-updated and it just started working. And so a few days later, I remember seeing on Twitter, someone was bragging about like, hey, I just acquired a Chrome extension with 400,000 users, 418,000 weekly users. And so this person's innocent. He's like bragging about it on Twitter, you know, he's like happy, like but like that could have been a nation state actor. That could have been anyone who wants to wants instant access to like hundreds of thousands of browsers could just do what this person did without talking about it and push changes without anyone knowing. So that seems a bit sketchy to me. So what can we do about it? So this is where I built the tool. So my tool is a Ruby on Rails application. I'm hosting it on Heroku. And there's a small video here to show how it works. I can also do a live demo, but let's see if the internet's fast. Yeah, it looks like it's fast. So this is the main page. There's just, all you can do is like paste extension ID. And then it basically fetches the file, unzips it, and then starts basically scanning the contents. And I'll show in more detail, but it gives you the analysis, like this one, which is one he had, is marked as high severity, and it shows you the manifest.json. So let's go into these in a bit more detail. This is the first page. All you have to do is, and again, you can access this on CRXaminer.tech. It's up and running. If it ever crashes or anything, let me know. But yeah, you just paste the Chrome extension ID, which you can find in the URL of the Chrome extension you want to look at. And at the top, once it scans, at the top page, it gives you some metrics. These, I had to scrape the web store for them because a lot of these metrics aren't actually included anywhere in the file itself, like the rating and the size. And then it gives you, so there's actually two parts of the analysis, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, about why there's two parts. But initially, the bottom part was what I did initially, where it gives you an overall risk of like medium, high, kind of like any security tool. And it lists why, like it lists the findings, like, oh, it has excessive permissions, or, you know, a list of all of the findings. And then the top part is like an AI enhanced version verdict, which I'll cover in a bit. So here you can basically look at the findings and see what permissions it's asking for and if they're reasonable. And then it basically runs like a quick grep to show you permissions and also embedded URLs in the Chrome extension. And then the manifest. So that's probably the most interesting part. Sometimes you want to look at the manifest.json. And so the web app displays it for you. And you can compare manifests of different Chrome extensions and see how they work. And this is like just a zoomed in, like where you can see the permissions and the websites where it's allowed to run JavaScript. And so I added a statistics page, which you can access. There's just like a link called statistics. And I'm eventually going to add more features like different risk levels or categories, but for now it just displays a list of recent scans and their risk levels. Just for fun, there's also like a Twitter bot that like up to 17 times a day just posts what was scanned. It's mostly just for me to get a sign of life from the bot. Now here's a problem that I had, but I think also applied to many security tools I use, which is the risk ratings. So once I started scanning a lot of extensions, I started realizing, oh, like it's just rating everything as critical. But that's not useful. When you have a security tool that's ranking everything as critical, then there's no point in scanning because I know it's gonna mark everything as critical. So like, what's even the point? It's not helpful anymore. It's not actionable when everything's the same rating or everything's just marked as critical. And that, I mean, that's kind of like the CVSS problem, right? Like it's just giving you a generic number, like, oh, CVSS 10, like, okay, but do I actually care about this? You know, does it actually apply to me? So I wanted some way to make the risk ratings a bit more meaningful. And here's an example, like Privacy Badger is a well-known Chrome extension made by the EFF. I trust them, at least I trust them more than a random Chrome extension with no users from the developer that no one knows about. And so initially my my own rating was marking it as critical, but I thought like relatively the EFF's privacy badger is less risky than a sketchy third-party one that no one heard about. And so what I did was I used the Anthropic API, so Claude 3.5 at the time, and it basically sends Claude all of my security findings plus all of the metadata and all of the like the manifest.json and like everything we extracted, including my own findings, sends them all to Claude and be like, hey, like you're basically a security engineer and you want to give someone like in simple terms like a verdict on like is this safe or not, and like maybe some suggestions on recommendations on what to do. And so then it returns this blob at the top, which I wanted it formatted in this way. And I think the main benefit of that is things like developer reputation. Like if I had to manually do it without AI, like how do I build a list of like how do I assess if the developer is reputable or not? I would have to manually build a long list, and it's like tedious. But I can kind of rely on Claude to be like, okay, this is made by the EFF, so it's like not too bad, you know. And then it gives some recommendations. Like one of the recommendations that I told it to always say is that if you're not comfortable with running this Chrome extension, you can create a separate Chrome profile and just like run that extension or install that extension in that separate Chrome profile, so it doesn't have access to like all the other things you browse on the other. You can have different Chrome profiles. So did that work? Kind of. I mean, this was so. I think I took those metrics when there were about 2,000 scans. Now there's almost like 9,000 different Chrome extensions scanned. So the light blue or teal color on the left side is the default rating from my tool without AI, and then the purple one is what AI said. And you can kind of notice that the main impact it had is it reduced the number of criticals, so less things were critical. Exactly, but it put them in high, and so now like many things are just high, and so like I don't know if it's actually better. I mean, what I like is at least the blurb at the top. You can kind of give it to like a non-technical analyst, like because before like they had to like look at the permissions and determine, but like now like if there's like non-technical analysts on your team, like a TPRM review or something, you can just like they can just like look at the top parts. But yeah, this is where I kind of would appreciate some feedback. Like I realize that when you're building a security tool, it's hard for the output to be actionable always. And I mean, obviously it depends on who's using your tool. Like, is it a non-technical analyst or is it like a security engineer that knows the details? Yeah, go ahead.
So, in terms of feedback, this critical rating or high rating, do you actually go to that website where things are for sale and check to see if the extension is for sale and then affect the critical and high
Oh
rating?
no, yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, well, I mean, theoretically, you can sell, you can list anything for sale.
For sale, then it would be critical.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Do it.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah. Um,
I know you're showing the manifest, but you're not showing the content script, like the JavaScript files yet.
no, I'm not. I'm not.
Because that's where like some of like the injection potentially could.
Yeah, yeah. I can. So this is the website. I can show you real quick. So I'm not. The guy I talked about, John Tuckner. So he made secureannex.com, and it's more like enterprisey, but he does more of that. Like you can actually pull the contents of each script, and he runs some like I think was it semgrep rules or like some basic static analysis on those scripts as well. I'm just like a bit lazy. But this is an example. Like, this is the actual site live, and like under statistics, these are some recent ones that were scanned, and like for example, let's see the critical one here, file wave, sure. Um, so so this was the initial ones. Okay, it's asking for risky permissions like history, identity, geolocation, excessive permissions in general, and then AI kind of like says like, okay, the rating is low, it has high number of users, which could indicate a level of trust, but like, does it? I mean, but then here, like this is the, okay, like it's excessively, but it doesn't have access to the JavaScript at all. And then when you click on details, So I think this was just like a grep for things that look like URLs from any of the files, including some of the JavaScript. But I kind of stopped at that. Oh, I think it also pulls like the CSP header from there, but I didn't really like. It would take a bit more effort to like, given a piece of JavaScript, is it malicious? And now you're kind of like doing static analysis of JavaScript to tell. And the problem is, I feel like a lot of Chrome extensions do things that look weird, even like benign ones. Like for example, the CyberHaven one, which is like a DLP extension. I mean, that obviously would be ranked as critical because it's like spying on users, but like legal. I mean, that's the point of it. But like, how do you, like that would be triggering all sorts of flags. So it's just like a lot of Chrome extensions are kind of like doing sketchy behavior.
You're modifying what you're seeing, but
Right.
at least you know why you want it. And
Right, that's the thing. It's like context-based, yeah.
and as far as the advice or the feedback you're looking for, I am thinking about it, like how to improve the ratings, and I'll think about it because
Let me
I
know.
get what you're saying. Yeah.
Let me know because, and it's not just for this specific tool. Like this is just for Chrome extensions, but like what about ID extensions? What about like Ruby gems or like the third-party dependencies? What it's like it kind of starts getting the same like GitHub Actions. But it's like GitHub Actions is a whole thing which is essentially the same as like Chrome extensions, but it's like running in your CI pipelines and like, is it secure? Is the random GitHub extension using secure? And if you want to build a tool that analyzes them, you get into the exact same challenge. It's like, well, everything is
So I think I don't use Chrome extensions, and reduced my Chrome extension use to only MetaMask
really.
as of many years ago, primarily because there wasn't a tool telling me if it was secure or not, because there wasn't vetting like a Play Store or an Apple Store.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I see a great need for this. I think you would probably be an acquisition candidate if you could actually make it like do what I just said. That is one.
Yeah,
Also
look at
search for evals in the JavaScript.
looking for evals is good. Yeah, I think there was like a good number of evals in many extensions, but that's a good idea.
I have a crazy idea that you won't be able to do it now because your sample size is too small. I think you have like 2,000 scans, you said?
Now it's let's see, almost 9,000.
Oh, okay. I mean, theoretically, eventually, you could also use this data, and if somehow, if you get enough data, theoretically, maybe you could get like, can run machine learning to try to like find some patterns of like bad actors. And,
Totally, yeah.
But
That's why I'm just keeping it running. Like I feel.
yeah.
Corporate version of this, which allows people that are developing Chrome extensions to be able to advertise and have a marketplace on your own site and stuff like that. Because eventually, if you are evaluating them and people are looking at you for evaluating, you become a source.
Right. Yeah. That's also a good idea. Yeah.
Are these manual scans of your users?
Yeah, they're all. Yeah, I don't automate anything.
Which is scraping something that's something you could consider doing, or you wouldn't want to scrape like the web store to do it?
Oh, it's like the mass scan.
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't know if that would be beneficial or not, but I was trying to think like how to get mass like numbers and data.
You could. I think like John Tuckner's app, SecureAnnex, does that. Like he just fetches a large amount of extensions.
No, and I get right now.
I kind of wanted to keep it organic because I'm just curious what people would end up scanning.
That's true.
So I kind of like I released it in maybe September, and I was like hey, I think I posted on LinkedIn, and then like slowly I started seeing people use it, and it's like interesting to me to see like what people are, but like your idea of like once I have a bigger data set. Maybe once it's around like 10 or 20,000, I kind of want to like do some like add more statistics here and just metrics and
Basically, you need to rescan those extensions on a regular basis because today they are good, tomorrow they are not because they are sold or whatever. And
yes.
And also, if there is a chance somehow to track if the extension was sold, that will be a good indication.
Exactly. So after the test we did where he took over the extension, we talked about it and we're like, how would you detect it? And he actually implemented real-time monitoring of ownership changes. And so I'm using his app now because it's more corporate-y, like at work. But like we hooked it up to Slack, and so basically I have a list of extensions I'm monitoring, and if any of them change ownership, it alerts me on Slack.
Exactly, yeah.
It's still, I personally sometimes think Google could be doing a better job.
Yeah.
Because why
I
you know,
think
like,
the guy you mentioned, he wrote an article on that probably Google is not doing a good job.
yeah, maybe. I don't remember, yeah.
Yeah,
But
because how long have we had the web store? It's like
it's been a while,
long
right?
time.
Yeah.
And it's been like the same. Like there's not, and there's already been so many like examples of bad things happening, and it
Yeah,
just
and
it stays
Google
the
is
same.
not kind of responding to that
Yeah.
fairly. I mean, they kind of, you know.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have a question. Are you considering doing an extension for the extension scanner?
I had the same actually.
I thought about it.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but then it would need access to the Chrome store, but then to actually download extensions, it would need access, I think, to all of like Google.com, and so then like it's like my extension would have excessive privileges needed, and so
Well, no, because it's only two domains. It's the web store listing, and then maybe the
Google.com,
and then,
all of it.
Well, no, isn't it a specific download
it,
domain for the CRX files or no? You had it on your slides
Yeah,
at the top.
I don't remember.
But yeah, anyway.
Clients2.google.com.
Whenever the person goes to the website, you see the ranking pop up, and then like see detailed. You click it, and it takes you. Anyway.
Yeah, I could though. Yeah.
I'm curious, how much are you storing after each run? And have you thought about taking earlier results and comparing them? So for instance, you have a list of domains. If like a new domain pops up with a new TLD, that would be more concerning.
That's a great idea, and also CRXaniner does that, but not my. So I'm only storing the results of my scans. So the things you see in here are stored.
Okay.
And then if the last time it was scanned is either 24 or 48 hours or more, then it unlocks like a force rescan button, but then it just like completely fetches a new version of it, and it forgets what was already there. But what CRXaniner does is I think he maintains different versions and diffs them so that you can more easily tell. But that is a great idea because that would be useful for sure, yeah.
What are some of the other artifacts you are using in your risk model right now?
Artifacts as in like in general to determine the risk level of an extension. It's really mostly the manifest file and specifically focusing on the permissions. That was like the main thing I wanted to look at when I initially had the idea. Like the reason I made this app was because I kind of wanted to master view just what permissions the extensions were asking. But to your point, if I wanted to expand that, I would analyze the JavaScript a bit more for things like evals and just weird behavior or reaching like I do pull a list of URLs that are hard coded, but like if I wanted to extend it, I could like send them to VirusTotal or see if any of them are known bad domains.
I wonder if, I don't know, if you could put some of these URLs on the main analysis page, just for the person to see like, oh, this could be risky, external domains.
Yeah.
Then,
so.
But I don't know if.
No, I love that because that's so. I think the most challenging thing of making a security tool is figuring out the ratings. The second most challenging thing of making a security tool is figuring out a good UI.
Yeah.
A good UX and UI, it took me a while to figure out what I wanted. First, I thought a web app would be nice because like non-technical people can use it, like if you have an analyst on your team. But then initially it was all on one page, as you said, and they had these on one page. But then I realized like you had to scroll down a lot, and I realized like, oh, people would not really look at it, and so I decided to like branch it into different tabs here. You know, like security people are like notoriously bad at making good UI, so this is what I thought about. But yeah, potentially.
Still really nice. Yeah, I come from a product design background.
Oh, okay.
I'm,
okay,
I'm
yeah.
probably the only person
Nice,
in the whole
nice.
building. But no, but it's really nice.
It's kind of fire sort of extension, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have a, so I know you have a listing by criticality. You can sort by criticality or this, right?
Right now, you can't sort anything. It just displays the last 10 it scanned, and that's it. I didn't implement any like sorting. I kind of just did like the bare minimum and like called it there, and I just like wanted to see who uses it. But yeah, eventually I could make it sort. I could make it searchable as well. I mean, well, the search is kind of already like you can just if you try to scan something that's already in there, it'll just load it. It won't rescan unless it's old. I mean, we can test it now if you want.
Because if you implement sort and search, then you can also implement like the most popular, like, people can take a look at what the.
Yeah, like how many times they were scanned and stuff. Yeah, like there are things like the 1Password extension, things like that are scanned a lot. But yeah, with the sort by criticality, like it's still yeah. I mean, you'll see a lot of highs, and then I feel like this pattern made me think like I can try to be more granular, but also just inherently extensions just ask for a lot of permissions in general, and so kind of my conclusion was like, yeah, Chrome extensions are risky. So what? It's like I kind of didn't know what to do with that information.
Yeah, but people don't know that.
Yeah, yeah. At least it proves a point. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Regular people don't know that.
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It's very wrong.
I was curious about something. You said your buddy is monitoring if there's a ownership change. Can you always know? Because I don't know if, correct me if I'm wrong, could you potentially just sell your whole Google account or organization and then it wouldn't really track an ownership change?
Yeah.
Do you think people might do that in your as far as you can see?
Amazing point. Yeah, probably. Yeah, they could. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah. If you want to sell the Chrome extension, sell them the email address with it that you make for that Chrome extension.
Yeah.
And that's the whole Google account. But I think then he still monitors things like a version change. Now, version changes are, like, for example, 1Password, they update their Chrome extension fairly frequently. But then it's 1Password, and they update frequently, so that's the data point. The real-time monitoring ends up being just like your responsibility for like whoever's on call, or but if it's a sketchy site, and you see that they have like it hasn't been updated in a while, suddenly there's a version change, then you can go and see the diff because he keeps different versions. So
another quick question. I don't know. I think you have some experience as an administrator. I think as a network, or because you're not really. I don't know. Like, my wife, I created some extensions for her to make her work easier, and she's not able to install them. I think at all from the store. Is that do you happen?
Are they Manifest v2?
I don't remember.
Did you create them over like 5 years ago?
Over when?
Over 5 years ago, maybe?
No, it's been like the past 6 months.
Oh, past 6 months?
Yeah. But no. My question was, as an administrator, like, can we block users from based on the manifest permissions or not? There's no granular control.
I don't think based on the permission, but
I've seen blanket control where you can't install things at all.
So yeah, if you're in a high risk, I think he had a question. So just let me finish that one thing, and then I'll get you just 1 second. I think in high risk environments.
Wrapping it up because we have
Oh, yeah. In 30 seconds. So in high risk environments, you should have an allow list of allowed extensions, and then that's like the best way to do it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just a quick ID that I guess I'm not sure what I've already done, but what if you just if there's similar extensions to one that's submitted, right, that you could find from just querying the Google Play, the Chrome store.
Yeah.
You could try to compare them with that and then assess their risk based off of those scores.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You're right. They're kind of copying, so they are making an extension like it was like the ad blocker 1,
Yeah.
blocker 2, they're just copying exactly the same.
Exactly.
Just with a new name. So
Exactly.
That's a good point.
So that actually does surface new malicious extensions that way also. So that is actually a cool idea. Yeah. Okay, we should wrap it up.
continue talking to
Thank you, thank you. Thanks. Thank you, thank you.
Everybody, you can stay and enjoy yourself too. You can keep talking to them. There's plenty of drinks.
Thank you so much.